With that, we will get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope February treated you well. I can't believe it's almost over. My name is Johnny Freeman. I'm Pozotron's Customer Outreach Manager, and I am joined by our wonderful CEO, Adam Fritz, on the call. So today we will be giving you a full tour of Pozotron's proofing tool. So we will be covering the basic workflow of how to use our proofing tool, but the focus today is going to be on all of the options, settings, and customization that you can perform to make your Positron experience more suited to your workflow. Lots of different options that can be used in a variety of different ways, and they can make a big impact on the overall flow of your workflow. So we want to make sure you're aware of them. This is also the perfect time for questions. So you have me and Adam on the call. We'll do our best to answer your questions, and everybody gets to learn a little bit more. So please put those in the Q&A box. And with that, I'll move on. So a little bit more specifically, the agenda today, we're going to be going through all of the pages in Positron when you log into Positron that have to do with the proofing tool. So we have settings and customizations kind of spread throughout, from when you're creating a project to while you're proofing, and then finally when you're exporting reports, things like that. So we'll be going through all of those options. We won't be covering the script prep tools in any detail, but if you do want to learn about those, reach out to us. We do have previous webinars and tutorials on those as well, if you want to check them out. But good, it looks like we do have a question before I get into the first page from Troy. I remember you were working on highlighting for duet/multicast projects. Any progress? Adam, do you want to answer that?
So yes, we are working on that. That's the ability to highlight dialogue. We're not something we have an update on. It is in progress. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so with that, to use any of our tools in Positron, you will need to create a project. So this is the very first thing you'll do in Positron. And I'll actually bring up the studio and walk you through those settings. There's some important ones that can greatly impact your project. So pulling this open. Actually, the first thing to mention is our new UI here. So we have released a new UI for the home page and the create new project page in Positron. So it looks nice and pretty. But one of the most exciting things is there's some new functionality here. And I'll tell you about that first, which is the ability to add folders and organize your projects. If you've used Positron for a while, this homepage can get pretty cluttered. So we released a way for you to organize these projects into folders. By clicking this three-dot menu here, there's an Add New Folder button. Just give it a name. I'll call it Demo. And it'll be listed right here. To move your projects around, you just click and select them in the top left, and we can actually move them into folders. So small thing, but goes a long way in terms of sanity with good organization. Oh, that's bringing up the wrong screen. Sorry.
There
Okay.
is a question. Robert, we will get to your question in a few minutes.
Perfect. Okay, and so to get started with Positron, you will need to create the project. We're going to click this Create New Project here, and this will bring you to this window where the only required setting here is actually a title. But when you're going through this, we recommend you take a look at all of the settings here. So we'll want to give it a title. You can enter a customer if you want to organize your projects by customer. You can also add it to a folder if you've already created it right here. So this screen has changed a little bit if you've used us before. This is a little new. And then you can upload your manuscript here. So this can be a PDF, EPUB, or Word document. Recommend you upload it when you're creating a project, but it is not required. So you can just give it a title, hit create, and upload it later if you want. But a couple of important settings here. First off, you can add project details, such as an ISBN or ID number, an internal due date, a project due date, and a couple of new features here or new areas, the status window and notes field. So if you do want to enter any notes about a particular project, you have a place for that. And the status you can actually track. This is mostly used in collaboration, but you can put a status on the project so everyone you're working with knows that it's in the research phase or recording is in progress, things like that. So you can add the statuses here. Now, I do want to touch upon the proofing sensitivity as well. So we have two algorithms when you upload audio files for proofing. There's the proofing and noise detection algorithms. These are separate, and you can have separate settings on these. The few settings here are relaxed, normal, and extra sensitive. I do want to say no matter what setting you choose, Pozotron is still extremely accurate. This just gives you a little bit of flavor, and there's certain times where you want to reduce the amount of annotations by Pozotron or increase them. If you're doing a fantasy book about pirates and you're going to be speaking in a pirate accent for a majority of the book, you might want to move to relaxed, as certain pronunciations will not get flagged as suggestions. Again, if you want it to be, if you want more peace of mind and you want to flag everything, you could use the extra sensitive button here. But I would recommend leaving it on normal for the first few projects you put through Pozotron, so you get a feel for how it works, and then you can change and customize from there. Similarly with the noise, oh, go ahead, Adam, sorry.
I'll wait till after you're done noise detection.
Okay. Yep, last but not least, noise detection. This is another separate algorithm. And it is a lot newer than our proofing algorithm. So it is still in beta, still improving, but it's gotten a lot better since we've released it. But you can change the sensitivities here as well. You can turn it off entirely, or again, move it to relaxed or extra sensitive. So use it on normal, see how it works for you, and then if you want to reduce or increase the suggestions, use these settings here.
And
That is
just
it.
in terms of the script, there are a couple YouTube videos out there of people not affiliated with Positron, giving reviews of the software. You don't need to break up your script chapter by chapter. You upload the entire book, and then Robert, to answer your question, you drop the full script in, and then Positron, what we show as a chapter, is what your audio file has matched to. So if you upload all of chapter one, that will be in an audio file that will match and be shown as a chapter in Positron. If you upload chapters 1, 2, and 3 all together, that will show as a single chapter in Positron. So just you don't need to break up into a different project for each chapter. There's a couple YouTube videos out there that say you do need to do that. Definitely not the case.
Good disclaimer. Yep, put it all up there at once and then let us do the hard part, which is matching the correct portion of the script for you.
And then Ryan, what
Mhm.
consists of noise? We have two different types of noises. We have which are broken out in proofing, which I'm sure Johnny will get into a little bit later. One of them is distortions, so mostly hard clips in your audio file, and the other are or natural noises, grunts and snorts and your kid screaming in the background, for example.
Exactly. Great. Sorry, pulling up this again. Okay, good. One other thing, just on project creation, last important tip here is detecting PDF issues. So we already did a webinar on this in detail, but I just quickly wanted to mention when you are uploading a script, even if you have all the settings correctly configured in Positron, if there's something wrong with the manuscript, it will cause lots of issues throughout the whole project. So I wanted to give you a couple of easy things to do when you're starting. the first thing I'd recommend is the copy paste test. Sorry. So the first three items here, fonts, ligatures, and OCR mistakes, if there are any issues with these, so if your font is hard to read or hard for software to read, you can test this with the copy paste test. And those fonts can lead to ligatures and OCR mistakes. And ligatures are when two letters are combined and there's no white space surrounding each individual letter. You can see insignificantly the F and I are um, merged together, and that causes some issues. You can see if I copied significantly right here and pasted it up in the top right, you can see it came through looking like gibberish. So these are a few examples that to the human eye it might look fine, but simply copying and pasting into Notepad or Microsoft Word or something like that will show you if there's an issue. So you can detect the first three major errors with PDFs with that test. And then the rest, just take a quick glance through your PDF. If you have two pages on one PDF page, so you're looking at two pages at once for each page, that can cause problems. Columns and manuscripts with lots of footnotes, captions. If you notice any of these issues, just reach out to us and we can help you set your project up for success. Um, so just a quick PSA there.
Is there a question? Is there a suggested formatting checklist we can offer to our authors to submit their manuscripts? It's a tough one. So everyone knows why PDFs are so problematic. PDFs were created a long time ago to make like a digital letter, essentially, a digital document. And instead of creating from scratch, the people who created PDFs used a character library that was originally designed for inkjet printers. So this is a square peg round hole situation. Generally, scanned hard copy books will have problems. InDesign files, so it usually has the bleed markings in all four corners, the little half square, I guess for lack of a better term, in all four corners with the InDesign file. Those are generally the most problematic. We fix these as they come in. There's no one size fits all, and it takes a lot of time. And it's actually the reason why most other similar style softwares do not allow for PDF uploads. So we will provide. We do have we do have a support page on PDF. So Lindsay, if you could send that out. But good question, Troy. Unfortunately, there is no one size fits all answer for you.
Generally, the Word documents are less prone to any of these issues. So if it's a Word document and you can read it in Word, it'll probably work for other software as well. But we also, our developers have been hard at work at making this issue less prominent. So our detection has gotten better, and we're also working on tools that make correcting these issues a lot faster. So that's why I say if you do have any of these issues, reach out to us, and we're happy to help you get set up for success. But enough about that. We'll move on to the proofing tab. So in this page, when you create your project, while it's as soon as you upload the project and you click on it, you'll be brought to the proofing tab. And you don't actually do any proofing in here. This is just where you upload your audio files for processing. But there are a lot of little, and I've kind of highlighted these in red. These are areas where you have customization options. And we're going to go through those just so you know what each of them do, because they can make a big impact on your workflow. Let me pull up. Looks like we have a question while I pull up Pozotron. Do we want
So
to
this is
answer
a
that?
question we get quite often, and that is most of the top pickups when Johnny gets into the keyboard shortcuts have their own shortcut. If we cannot create, there's no way for users to create their own shortcuts, but if you have suggestions, feel free to send them to hello@pozotron.com. If you have your own your own tags that you want to use or shortcut keys, it's just it's an exponential load on our database and our development team from allowing people to create their own shortcuts and stuff like that. So if you do have any suggestions or requirements, please feel free to email us and we can do our best to help.
Hmm. Definitely. Um, Great. Okay, good. So in the proofing tab, I'm going to start up here. There's a handy little button, and we're going to go through these in not any particular order, but I just want to make sure you're aware of all of these settings. First off is the estimates tab. So clicking this is a really handy tool for people who don't like to do math, like me. Essentially, what this does is it makes it easy to estimate the amount of effort and time you're going to have to put into a project. So it does this by taking a look at the total word count of the script, and based off of that, can give you estimates based on industry standards, how long you can expect to spend on narration, on the proofing part of the project, and editing. Um, and this might go faster and slower, but you can kind of see what the industry standards are for this and plan out your projects accordingly. You'll also be able to see the narrated total. So as you upload audio files, how many words have been narrated compared to what's written in the script. So good way to check on your progress.
And we are working on an export, just so everyone knows, where once you're done your project, you'll be able to export all the missed words. So you'd be able to export all the words from your script you didn't actually include in your narration, which would be a very easy way to check, hey, did I miss an entire chapter in your final book?
Hmm.
Question, is there an easy way to cancel an upload if you inadvertently started uploading the wrong file? Yes, Johnny, if you want to upload a file here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll drag and drop a file in here. You can see it's starting the upload. So for the first little bit, there's a cancel upload button, and I can just go ahead and cancel that. It will go away once it's at a certain point in processing. But if you want us to extend that amount of time, I believe we can do that for you.
And,
Yep.
and we do enforce that for people who repetitively accidentally upload and then ask for credits in return. So what that does, that just puts a delay. You upload a file and it'll actually put a delay so it won't actually start processing for X number of minutes or seconds, whatever we set it to.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny, if you want to open the estimation button.
Sure.
Yes, eventually this will actually, so question from Ryan, any chance we'll be able to change the estimation to a personal speed? Yes, eventually this will actually start updating based on uh, data from your own usage in Pozotron. So narration, for example, will actually look and see in terms of the total runtime, how many words you actually say on average in an hour of audio,
Mm-hmm.
how long based on your time on screen, how long you actually do spend proofing. But from a measurement perspective, there's a lot we have to do there. So that is the end goal, that it will be based on actual data and not just estimates.
And of course, that information would be private to only your profile. So one thing as well. Good. So estimates is handy. The other feature I wanted to tell you about is the annotation filter. So annotations, if you don't know, are all of the suggestions that Positron has made after listening to your audio files, comparing them to the script, makes annotations. And there are 6 kinds of annotations. Misreads, so saying the wrong word or mispronouncing a word, inserted words, missed words, pauses, noises, and the chapter start and end annotations. So these are at the beginning and end of every um, audio file you upload. Um, Essentially, we detect pauses by the length of time between words said. So the beginning and ending of the chapter, we have those there for you to make sure there's not 15 seconds of silence before the audio starts and things like that. But this annotation filter is really handy if you want to customize in bulk the annotations that are in your project. So just a simple example, if I don't want the chapter start and end annotations in my project, and I don't want to click OK on all of them, I can just select them and hit filter. It'll tell you how many annotations are going to be affected by this. I'll hit OK, and we can see all of the numbers on my chapters have changed. So it's gone ahead and filtered those out. If I look at a project or a chapter in specific, you can see it's already been okayed and it is ignored. You can get really granular with this as well if you want to filter certain kinds of inserted word annotations. So if you want to ignore all one word insertions, then you can actually put that number in here and hit filter. It will get really granular. So these options are, uh, yeah, there for your customization. There is another button here to mark all annotations as pickup. I just wanted to mention this because this is not used for proofing. If you click this button and mark everything as a pickup, does not mean the chapter has or the project has been proofed. This is simply here for certain workflows. Um, if you mark everything as a pickup, you're then able to export our DAW markers and put a marker for every annotation in your raw audio file in your session. So some users want to use that and actually proof inside their DAW. So we have this option here. But that is the purpose of that button. I see we have a question. I don't.
Sean
Oh,
Cordry, I don't see an annotation filter on my screen. It goes estimates. So that is because your screen is either a little bit too zoomed in or too small. So the annotation filter does disappear, and then you can find it if you scroll down to the bottom if your screen is too zoomed in. If you scroll down, it's in the project settings. So that is just a screen size issue.
yep. If you zoom out, it should pop up right here. Great. Okay, so the other options up here, import, export, I'm actually going to cover later. There's a lot of useful reports that you can auto-generate after you've proofed a chapter. They're all listed here. The only one that is useful before you've actually proofed is the book full text export. This is essentially a copy-paste test for your entire manuscript. If I hit export and open that up, this will show me a text-only version of my script. And I do recommend actually opening this up and reading a little bit when you're about to upload audio files, as this will come back looking like gibberish if there's any mistakes with your manuscript or any errors hidden in your manuscript. So it's very useful to use at the start of a project. The last thing is on this bar is the archive button. So if you upload a chapter by mistake, or if you want to remove any chapters from your project, you can do so here. You can also affect all chapters so you can see what's been archived and what's been active. We don't actually, there's no way to delete audio files. You can only archive them just in case you ever make a mistake archiving something. We don't want it gone forever. So if you archive it, you can actually bring it back. If I hit that archive button, I can see what's been archived and I can recover it if I need it. I can also archive the entire book or entire project here. Okay, that's it for the top bar. Now, quickly, the chapter settings. So there's a few options with chapters. Actually, the last thing I'll mention is the sort by, because this affects those chapters. You can easily sort your chapters alphabetically or numerically. This works numerically as well. Forwards or backwards. And then there's custom. So custom allows you to click and drag and move these chapters around to any order that you'd like, in case you uploaded them in the wrong order. And this also affects the exports. So whatever order it's in here, it'll export reports in that order as well. Then here, the three-dot menu on each of these chapters allows you to do a lot of the project settings, except for chapter specifically. So you can download the audio, you can archive a specific chapter quickly, export a chapter report. So this will open up chapter-specific reports that you can export. You can mark all annotations as pickup in just this chapter, mark them all fixed, or unmarked pickups as fixed. Now, the last thing which we already touched upon briefly is the project settings here. So this has some useful projects here, or useful options. You can reset an entire project. If you want to start from scratch, clear every annotation you've made, you can use this button here. You can mark all pickups fixed again. You can archive the entire project here. You can also reset annotation filters. So if you accidentally added a filter, if I want to reset those ignored words, it'll bring all of them back. So that can revert any mistakes. Alrighty. Very last button on this page before we get into the actual proofing interface is the manually create chapter button. So this is very useful if you have something you need to proof that is not included in the manuscript you uploaded, or if you didn't upload a manuscript to begin with. You can use this feature to manually set a section, a certain section of text to proof. So you use this by giving it a name. Chapter chapter name can be acknowledgments or anything else that's not included in the book. Just copy and paste the text that you're going to be reading in here, and then upload the audio in this field. And it will not use your original manuscript for proofing. It'll use whatever text you included in here to proof. So it allows you to be a little bit more versatile with our proofing tool if you need it. Okay. I think that is everything in this page. Adam, anything else to add to this?
Nope. Looks. So you did everything.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, moving on to the interesting stuff. Well, hopefully it's all interesting, but this stuff should be a little more interesting. The proofing interface. This is where you're actually going to be proofing inside of Pozotron. There's a whole lot of little features here that I'm going to be walking you through. So let me open up Pozotron again. So when you uploaded your audio and it's fully finished processing, you'll see this status bar. This is the amount of suggestions or annotations Pozotron's made. And to look at those in detail, you'll click this Open Proofing button. So the general workflow in Pozotron is to listen to the audio. So this script is synchronized to the audio. You can click anywhere in the manuscript to update the time bar, and hitting play will play it back from that point.
Pozotron Studio is an AI-powered.
It'll highlight each word as it's said to make it really easy to follow along. And you'll see these red underlines. These underlines are the suggestions or annotations Pozotron has made. They're also all listed on the left-hand side. So these are areas of interest to look at when you're proofing. You can come to that section, hit play.
Words accidentally added into the script by the narrator.
So it flags inserted words. And on the left-hand side, you, the human, tells Pozotron either this is okay, no need to fix, or this is a pickup and it is a major error that needs to be fixed. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about is the filter out button. So this is kind of like the add to dictionary button in spell check, where going forward, if you hit this filter out button, it will not flag that particular mistake as a mistake. But it is very literal. So the way this works is Pozotron hears a specific sound and it sees a specific word on the script. If you hit filter out, only that sound and compared to that written word will get filtered out. So if you say a different sound with the same word later, it won't filter it out, and you might need to click it again to get all instances of that. So that's the filter out button. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the script sync functionality. So this is somewhat new, and this actually ties into our prep tools. So while you are proofing, if you've previously, before uploading your audio files, added words to your pronunciation guide or characters to your character guide.
And just to be clear, it can happen at any time. It's just before you proof. So you could go in your audio files uploaded, and you could go add stuff then. It doesn't have to be before you. But...
Yep, thank you. So as long as it's in your prep tools, we've established kind of a two-way communication between those tools and this tool. So you can see any character on your character guide will be highlighted in blue with this turned on. And any word on your pronunciation guide will be highlighted in yellow. Now, this is really useful because you can click on this word and actually see the notes, the details that you put in about a character as you're proofing. So as I listen to a line of dialogue by Sherlock.
Well, Watson, what do you make of it?
I can then click on Sherlock, and if he had a voice sample, I could listen to the recorded voice sample, or in this case, I can just check the descriptions of what he's supposed to sound like, and make sure that the right character or voice was used for that dialogue. Now it's a two-way communication, so I can also select this line of dialogue and click this orange microphone button to create an audio snippet. And I can add this line to Sherlock and store it as a voice sample. So now if I click Sherlock, I'll see that voice sample here.
Well, Watson, what do you make of it?
And I can listen back to that at any time on any of his lines of dialogue to make sure that it's being said correctly. Same thing with your words. Oh, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
Just one quick question. Marilyn asked a question about filter out. That is just for the book. So if you filter something out, it'll be just be on that project for that entire book.
Good point. Yep. If it comes up in another project, you'll have to do it again, or, but that is a good question. Last thing on ScriptSync, words on your pronunciation guide will be highlighted in yellow, so I can listen to the audio.
The words Charing Cross.
And then I can click the word and make sure it's pronounced the way that we planned it to. Charing. So that's a quick way to make sure that interesting words like this are said correctly throughout the whole project. All right, let me go back to this other project. Okay, now another tool in your arsenal when going through and proofing a chapter is adding tags to an annotation. So when you flag something as okay or pickup, these are basic tags. Just a pickup is basically a tag in itself. You can customize what kind of pickup it is by clicking this pencil icon here. This will allow you to add a tag. We have tags for pretty much any kind of mistake, whether it's a character voice mistake, whether there's distortion or an added word, misread, things like that. You can just type in this field here, character voice, and select this tag. Now, these tags are really useful for our automated reports, especially for collaboration. If you have multiple narrators, you can add a narrator 1 tag, narrator 2 tag, or if something's going to be fixed by your editor, the @editing tag is right here. And I'd recommend, if you are collaborating with other users, to get used to adding the tags to these annotations as you go through it. Now it does add extra clicks. So if I want to add a tag, I have to click here. I have to type a word, and then I have to click and click save. So this can be a little more time consuming, which is why we have introduced things like hotkeys. So on your proofing page, all of these keys, if you click this button up here, are different hotkeys you can use to speed up your workflow. The important ones: A marks things as okay, D marks things as pickup, and then the digits 1 through 9 mark everything as narrator 1 through 9. And there's a lot of different ones. So I'd recommend taking a look at this, getting used to these, so that way you can quickly add pickups or tags to your pickups. And at the end, I'll show you how these reports kind of are auto-generated based off of these tags. Another feature here. So when coming through a project, you can actually hide and filter certain kinds of annotations that are shown on your list. So if you only want to take a look at a certain kind of pickup at first, I can take a look at just pauses and see and filter all the other annotations here, so I can just find those quickly. I can do show or hide, so I could hide pauses if I want to focus on other kinds of pickups. And I can also mark all of these as fixed. So as I go through and correct these, we're going to mark those as fixed to keep track of the status of the project.
Question from
Yeah.
Robert. When you submit
Mhm.
your script to Pozotron, does your reader notes or highlighter use on the PDF script throw Pozotron off? So it depends. Highlighting should not throw anything off. Strike through, if you use strike through or actually redact text, then that probably will not be read by Pozotron. But if you use notes, it depends. If you're actually writing notes in line, you're actually adding text to the base text of the script. Yes. If you're just using comments, like a PDF comment in Adobe Acrobat, it will not be read by Pozotron. So again, it depends. So if you want to send us some samples, we're happy to take a look at them and give you some guidance. Email those to help@positron.com. And so everyone knows, the recording will be available to everyone, regardless of if you registered. We will send you the link if you registered. If not, you just go to our YouTube page and the webinar will be on there whenever Johnny gets it done, probably by Friday, because we will all be in New York next week.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll also put it in the banner up here, probably. So when you log into Positron, you'll see an opportunity to watch our previous webinar. Okay, let me come back in here. So a couple more things to talk about in the proofing interface. I'm actually going to go into this chapter here. So there's two general workflows, and people use Positron in different ways depending on the project, depending on how much time they have. So I wanted to go over a couple of ways to use us. So the first way is to just start at the beginning, listen through to everything in Positron.
Chapter 1.
And using this, you can change the playback speed if you would like. You can increase or decrease the playback speed. But you'd listen through, paying special attention to these red underlines. But if you notice anything as you're listening through the entire chapter, you can create your own custom pickups here. So if there's a problem with this line of dialogue, I can click and highlight it, click this Create Pickup button, and create an annotation describing what the issue is there. So add more emotion or anything you'd like to change. You can create custom pickups. You can also use our hotkeys for something we call speed mode, which is to quickly spot check all of the annotations on the left-hand side. So if you just want to check those out, using our hotkeys, you can select the annotation. This will bring you to the correct point in the timestamp. So if I click this, it'll update the timestamp to right before it. Hit spacebar to play.
To know him, give him this mark of their appreciation.
And I can determine if that's correct or not. I'll say A for OK. We can see it automatically selects the next annotation in the list. So then I can hit play again.
Hospital in order to start a practice for himself.
So he said the wrong word there. I can mark that as a pickup, and it'll instantly move to the next. So this allows you to quickly jump through a chapter.
As Sherlock Holmes leaned back into his settee, medical shelf, I took down the medical dictionary and then restless as the antennae of an insect.
So it's very quick.
Johnny, I'm just going to jump in quickly.
Yeah.
Please use the Q&A box. We can't keep track of the chat message. As it's much harder to keep track of the chat messages. Yes, this recording will be available, everyone. Go to our YouTube page. And Johnny, the hotkey menu, if you can show that off again, please.
Absolutely, yes. So just remember, it's this little symbol right here. One of our customers actually took a screenshot of this and put it as their background so they could get used to all of these hotkeys. Shout out Jack. But yep, so there's a ton here. The basic ones, if you aren't messing with any tags, are A for OK, D for pickup, F for filter out, and G for typo. Then spacebar to play and pause the audio. But if you are using tags, I highly recommend using the hotkeys, as that speeds up the workflow dramatically. One more thing, you'll see here, there's a link to set up a one-click pickup tag. So this will open up your profile settings, and there's one in here called one-click pickup tag. So here, if I wanted to add a tag that I use all the time, let's say I'm always tagging things I can't find it, so I'm just going to do narrator, and I hit update. I return here. Oh, I didn't even need to refresh. It did it right away. You'll see there's actually another button. So if you're using one tag a lot, whether it's at editing or narrator 2 or whatever it is, I would suggest setting that up because I can just click this and it will mark it as a pickup and add the tag at the same time. So it can be a huge time saver. Okay, one more thing. On all of these pickups are annotations, and up here there's a button to copy the timestamp. So I'm mentioning this because some narrators I've talked to, they run it through Pozotron, but they have their DAW open at the same time, and they simply find where the issue is, they copy the timestamp, they paste it in their DAW, and then they do the correction right away. So that's an example of a feature you can use in your personal workflow, however you use Pozotron. All right, I think that is everything in this page. Just taking a moment to make sure I didn't pass up on anything. Okay, good. Yep. With that, we will move on. Okay, so now to cover some of the export options. So once you've gone through and marked things as pickups, that's where all of our reports come in handy because they're automatically generated based off of what you have selected as a pickup in the proofing interface. So to get to the exports, there's two options. And let me finish marking this so that it looks better for the report. Excuse me. Okay, so you can do this as you go, as you finish each chapter, or at the end of the project. Some narrators I've talked to, they want to do their pickups right away because it's the same day as they recorded the original. They want their voice to sound the same. So you can do this chapter by chapter by clicking the three-dot menu and hitting Export Chapter. There's a few reports. The proofing report is an Excel report, so it'll have details of all of your pickups, and I'll actually just export it so you can take a look at it. The Excel sheet has each of your pickups listed here. It has the time code, the notes of what particularly went wrong, as well as the context. And when you're exporting a report, you have the option to customize most of those options. So you can choose the narration context. This is how much of the text to include in that column. Several words is the least amount of context. Prior sentences will give you like a whole paragraph of context around the pickup. The other option is our pickup packet. So this is really useful. It's an automatic report that you can customize based off of the tags that you selected. So this customized report here, you can say I only want to include certain kinds of pickups. So if I had an editor and I had marked things at editing, I can generate a report for them with just a click of a button. If you leave it blank, it'll have all pickups listed on the report. The timestamps option is important. So this, excuse me, I have a tickle. I need a need a break for a second. Sorry.
No problem. Basically, we're moving towards making everything in Positron as configurable as possible. So that's why sometimes people say there's so much going on this. It's a little overwhelming. You can ignore a lot of it. It defaults to the thing you last suggested. But yeah, that's why there's so many customization options because everyone produces an audiobook in a different way.
Exactly. Thank you, Adam. And that's kind of the point of this. We're going into every options just so you know it exists. And if it fits into your workflow, you have these options. So please use them. But But just to show you what the pickup packet option looks like, again, you can customize most of this, how much context to include, if you want to include fixed pickups. So that is one thing I did not mention. Whenever you mark a pickup, it'll be listed here, so you can see the amount of pickups on each chapter. You can mark these pickups as fixed one by one in the proofing tab here. So if I want to mark this as fixed, I can click that checkbox and you'll see it'll turn to blue and be fixed. By default, this is ignored from your reports. If you want to mark everything as fixed, you can click that button here and say, okay, this chapter's been corrected, and a good way to stay organized. But on the pickup packet, so you can choose to include those fixed pickups or not. This is a great report. So this is an automatically generated report for all of your pickups. They'll be split up per chapter. And one thing that we've recently added is there's a description of the project, the total amount of pickups, but you'll also see the total amount of annotations that Pozotron made for the proofer to go through. So it says here there are 4 Pozotron suggested pickups in this report. The proofer marked these 4 pickups out of 9 annotations suggested by Pozotron. And this is added in an effort to reduce superfluous pickups. You'll be able to tell if you get this as a narrator, if they marked all 9 out of 9 or all 100 out of 100 annotations as pickups. You can tell the proofer didn't probably go through and analyze each one and make a educated decision on it. So that's there. Keep an eye on that. But this will include every pickup, the issue here, what went wrong, the timestamp and tags, the amount of context that you specified. So this is current sentence, and the original audio if you want to listen back to the original audio. So a lot of our narrators will use this in combination with the DAW marker exports. And these are really time saving. I'll bring up the slide again just to show you what it looks like in Audacity. We have videos for every one of our DAWs on how to import these, so I'd suggest taking a look at that if you use something other than Audacity here. But when you export the DAW marker file from Pozotron, you can import it into your session and see exactly where these pickups occur. So big time saver, and having this, so you can find it in your session and the pickup packet kind of side by side. You'll have the correct portion of the script for your pickups and know the exact location of where it's going in your session. So I'd recommend using these in tandem like that. One thing to note, again, with tags specifically, tags are very flexible, so I bring them up a lot. Anything that's been marked with an @ sign, either @editing or @narrator, will have its own tab here. So if you are working a duet project or a dual narration project, marking them narrator 1 and 2 can really expedite the pickup reports here. You can just click this tab to see all the relevant pickups. Okay. Other exports. I'll quickly go over this import export button since I skipped over it before. There's lots of different options here. The main ones I see used all the time are the proofing and pickup packet reports and DAW markers. Now, if you need, you can export a subtitle file. So this is in the correct format to be added as a subtitle file to your video with timestamp options there. The book full text I already told you about. The pickup audio is really handy. So this will put all of the audio for everything that you've marked as a pickup into an MP3 file and have it all in one file, right, Adam? Or is it separate files?
Correct. The pickup
Yeah.
audio is all one MP3 file separated by, I want to say, about a second. And Kim, question from Kim, have you looked into the Gold Wave DAW yet? Yes, we have. And if memory serves, they do not support markers. but I could be wrong. I know we have looked at it and discussed it, but I will check for you right now.
I believe is importing. I think you can make markers, but I think they're missing an import
Yes, that
thing
is true.
there. Yeah.
So, Kim, yes, we would like to be able to support it. They don't have the feature on their own. So you can request it with Goldwing. Oh, and then we can support it.
Mhm.
Sorry for the bad news.
One thing I forgot on the pickup packet, there is an online and offline version, and these are actually very useful for different reasons. The offline version, so I showed you the online. If I export the offline version, this will download a copy, um, but it will also include all of the MP3 files separated. So this is MP3 files for each of my pickups, separated into their own files. So in Pozotron, you can either get a long MP3 of every pickup, or you can actually download the offline pickup packet and have separate files for each of those. Um, so it's very versatile. Also, just for if you're working offline, you can download this pickup packet, and you don't need internet to access this information. Good. And the very last one, Adam, do you want to talk about the TTS alignment and let everyone know what that is?
Sure. So that is the alignment, which basically means the start and end time codes for every word in your audio. That is not for creating AI voice replicas. That's mostly to support people who are doing things like accessible books. So if you've got an audiobook that actually plays as part of showing the text as well, that'll actually allow them to automatically highlight those words as they are said and stuff like that. So don't worry, most of you will never have to use that, but that is it's to support some of our users that do accessibility directed content.
Thank you very much. Yep, just wanted any chance we get tell the reason for that, because TTS looks a bit funny. But cool. Okay, moving on. We're almost out of time, so I will try and get through these. Already showed you the one-click pickup tags, but this is just a reminder to check your profile settings. There's some useful little features in there that can customize your experience. If you click your email address up here and go to your profile, there's tabs for all sorts of things in here. And the one I wanted to talk to you about is the proofing and prep tab. So this is useful for our prep tools as well. If you use those, you can select a default dictionary, so you don't need to change it every time you create a project. The default DAW markers format, so you can choose what DAW you are using, so all of the markers will automatically be in the right format. So I can choose that here. You can enable or disable online pickup packets. The misread format, by default, it's a little arrow. So A arrow in if A should be in. You can also change this to SB or should be. The one-click pickup tag, you can put that in here. You can only have one active at a time. So if you ever want to change it to something else, just X this out, choose a different one, and hit save or update. And then there's a few quality of life checkboxes here. If your noises and pauses are going to be handled by an editor, or you want to separate these automatically in your pickup packets, you can turn these on. It's very handy just to have a list of all of your noises, all of the pauses automatically without having to tag anything. And if you're a forgetful person like me, you might want to turn on prompt to confirm final recordable script. So before you upload audio, it'll ask you, are you sure this is the right script? If you're using a prep script or something like that to get you started.
And Art asked the question, what's a pickup packet? That is the online report that reports those pickups back to you.
Yep, that is right here. So this is the pickup packet. It's our lingo for your pickup report. Great. Well, I think I've actually been able to get it all in. Let's see here. But yeah, reminder, use these settings in here. And that is all we had planned. We were able to get it in just before 2 o'clock. So any questions that you have right now, feel free to let us know. It looks like we do actually have one from Art. Can you export corrections to the text? So if you're asking for like a pickup packet on your script, so it'd show the corrections on your script, is that what you're looking for? Oh,
So
author errors like typos.
yes. So
Okay.
Johnny, if you want to go back and share that, there is a typo report that you can.
So I'm just going to mark something as a typo quickly, mark a couple things here. All right, yes, absolutely. So if there's errors in the text, mark them as typo. Essentially what this does is it says okay and ignores them, so they're not pickups. However, if you export a proofing report, and I'll open this up. This is the old one. Okay, good. So this is the default Excel report. It'll have sheets at the bottom for each of your tags, as well as a typo report. So here you can actually send this to the author if you want to get those corrected. But this is where you get those typos. So if you mark them as typo, make sure you export a proofing report. Great. Well, thank you everyone for sticking around to the end. This was very in the weeds, lots of features, but I hope some of them were useful to you, things you can take back and implement into your own workflow. And as always, if you have any suggestions or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, because all of these features were at one point requested by a customer. So keep them coming.
Thank you very much. And don't forget to find us at APAC if you will be there next week. We will have a couple things to give away, some stickers and things like that. So
yeah, hope to see you there. All right. Bye-bye. Take care.